record on this computer. Thank you. Cool. All right. Today is December 3rd, 2020. Welcome to the 7th Filecoin Core Devs Biweekly meeting. We have a fairly compact agenda today. We'll go through updates from the various teams, as always. Discuss any upcoming state upgrades, of which the next one is still just being fleshed out. And then go over open FIPS. Zenground or Wyatt from the Actors team has some changes to the hand that he wants to talk about, which will be going into the next state upgrade, so that's something we should discuss. But which team wants to kick us off with updates? Let me hear from Forrest first.
Yeah, sure. So our updates from, I guess, our last call would have been now we're syncing to the Breeze fork. So full V1 actors compatibility. We're going to skip over the state migrations though. So now we're working on the actors V2 upgrade and supporting multiple actors versions, which is a little bit of a tedious process, but yeah, we'll get through that. And then other than that, just solidifying the syncing process, improving the chain follow protocol, and just making sure everything's very solid now that we have like interoperability, and then just getting closer to minor integration. So we're just kind of working through the small issues with RPC and our internal code to just chugging along towards block production. So that should be coming very soon within the next week or so.
Sounds good. Venus, you want to go?
Hi. Yeah, since last core, we had working on a few things in last 2 weeks and have a very good progress. Firstly is about the chain synchronization. We actually set up 3 instances of Venus to test different period of different forks actually at different heights. Now we could pass all the forks, which is very good, and including the latest change, and of course is about the Speak Actor version 2, and also including the last change we had done that in the latest upgrade last week. And secondly, we successfully set up a private network, including the Lotus and Venus together, and do some testing. We had done some testing by sending message from Lotus or the Venus, and to have the 2 nodes sync together. And it works well. It brings us confidence to have our Venus node to set up in the main network. And right now we are working on the JSON API support. There are lots of change of the API to support the minor part, including the proving, the post rip, and the post, which is still in progress. And another thing we're currently working on is about the message pool and the message selection, which is very important, because there are many messages we need to carefully handle this. Okay. And regarding the next plan for the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we are still focusing on 2 things. One is about the chain synchronization, and we plan to set up a Venus node in the calibration network, and also have one with the main network. And this is one thing. And another thing is that we want to integrate the minor part with the chain sync part, so that hopefully we could see a Venus miner in the main network, perhaps in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. If we can do that, it would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, all of that sounds great. I think running a private network with Lotus and any of the other implementations interoperating is a really good idea. And hey, if a Venus miner can join mainnet in a short time frame, that'd be amazing. Good work. I guess let's hear from Fukan.
Thanks. So as other guys, we are also aiming to have our node syncing with the mainnet. We were planning to reach at least some height on the mainnet by today's meeting, but unfortunately we have faced some issues with the peer discovery on our node. So we are currently on another way. So we are using our own node as a stable node for the as a node which provides us with an information, but I'm not sure we have already have some height there or not. So probably by the next week we will either resolve the issue with our peer discovery or report that we have gained some height on the mainnet. Otherwise, we have made some fixes. We have found a couple of bugs here and there in our node version regarding the actors integration. Now everything's fine, is working. So another point is that we are still working on implementing our own actors, and now as actors v3 was released, it's getting a little bit trickier. So probably we'll fix to our own version of actors implementation to be only v1 and v2 compatible as of now, and then we will build up from this point. So I think that that's mostly it from our side. Can proceed. I'm not sure we have anyone else.
Yeah, that sounds good, and I can see why V3 actors might seem a little further along. So I think getting V1 and V2 nailed will be the real challenge. We'll talk about V3 actors a little bit some more. Yeah, regarding Lotus, I can provide a quick update. So the past couple of weeks, the large thing that we've been focusing on was the network upgrades 7 and 8 that we just had, network version 7 and 8 that we just had. This was mostly just introducing a new version of Actors 232, as well as some other small kind of edge case consensus things that we've documented. The network upgrade went successfully, so that was good. This also introduced a new a new version of the SDR proofs that fixed a small vulnerability. So yeah, all of that was successful. Apart from that, we've kind of just been focusing on making Lotus better, is what we're calling it. So that's writing more tests, improving the mining logic, improving the storage deal success rate, a lot of that stuff. Kind of the core of Lotus, but doesn't affect consensus and the other implementations too much. Yeah, so that's I think that's the highlights of what Lotus has been busy with. Cool. The next agenda item I have is just for upcoming state upgrades. So we don't have the next state upgrade planned out yet, but we're hoping that we won't have another one in 2020. So the plan is that the next state upgrade will be early 2021. So let's say, yes, sometime in January 2021 is the plan. We'll probably have the release itself ready earlier and kind of test it over the Christmas break. But we definitely want to get it done before holidays in China in February. So that's kind of the timeline that we're looking at. What will change in that is mostly introducing V3 actors. Why I can talk a little bit more about what will be happening in V3 actors, but the idea is mostly that it'll be a faster, better version of actors. But that does mean that Lotus side integration or integration from the other implementations shouldn't be too complicated. And the scope of changes between V2 and V3 actors for those who are re-implementing actors will be much smaller than the changes between V1 and V2. But again, Wyatt can Correct me if I'm wrong there. Molly, anything else about our upcoming state upgrade that you think needs to be discussed?
Is now the right time for Wyatt to jump in and give the lowdown?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Is this a good time to go over the HAMT FIP, or should we do that in the next section?
Yeah, I think now's a good time. Maybe give a description of kind of V3 actors' goals more broadly, and then feel free to jump in.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks. Yeah, so as Ayush said, he really nailed it. V3 will be much less extensive than V2. It's closer to, I guess, somewhere in between what you've seen with some of the minor version bumps, plus in terms of like scope, and the huge V2. So yeah, the general idea, again, as Ayush said, is increasing performance, and the big areas we're doing this in are the data structures, so the HAMT and the AMPT. I'll get into this proposed FIP in a little bit. I can link an issue, so the discussion issue in the FIP repo is right here. Yeah, so there are some just straight up improvements, breaking changes in terms of the HAMT format. And then there's also some work tuning HAMT parameters. And then also kind of separate from this, there's some specific markets improvements that we're trying to make because of goals trying to keep the gas costs down. There's some, again, like kind of obvious wins we can make directly in the market actor logic. Yeah, okay, so looking at the HAMT FIP, let me also link the PR. So these are basically changes that have been brewing for a long time, and they're just finally landing now because we have time to do them. So the FIP that I'm linking has like two sub proposals. The first one you probably will mostly recognize. Austin has been hammering on this one for a while. It's a breaking change because it changes the way the gas is accounted. So right now the HAMT does redundant reads and writes from the IPLD block store, which we don't need to do. So we got rid of them. And yeah, there's an implementation right now in Go. I'm guessing people are either aware of it or maybe have already implemented it. But there's some details there and links to the implementation, so you can take a look at that. The other sub-proposal is to remove 3 bytes from every serialized HAMT pointer. To get a little bit into the details, we're using a CBOR map with one of 2 string keys in order to represent a union. And there's a simpler way to represent unions in CBOR just by like selecting on the major type when you decode. So we're saving bytes that way. So yeah, popping up again to the high level, the first sub-proposal saves gas by reducing IPLD puts and gets. The second saves bytes on chain by just compacting things in a kind of straightforward way. Okay, yeah, so that's the FIP, and it's still not passed yet, but there are some implementations you can take a look at. I'm hoping that this will get through. It should be pretty uncontroversial. And then, yeah, the other thing that I probably haven't talked too much about is the parameter that we're tuning is HAMT and AMPT width, the bit width, so basically the branching factor of the trees. So we're doing some just empirical work trying to project out what the sizes of different trees will be in a few months when we expect this to be running, and just doing some experimental work to tune things so that the cost in terms of message processing time is kept low. We don't have those numbers yet, but we'll be posting them soon. Yeah, and I think that's it. Anything else? Any questions?
Do we have a sense of which methods will be most affected by these changes?
Yeah, I don't have anything I'd like to share right now. We have some, yeah, we do have some. We have ways of seeing that. I want to take a look at the last, we haven't measured a lot of these things quite yet. But the very preliminary results were showing window post getting a lot of benefit. But yeah, we'll have more to say about that later.
Great.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you, Wyatt. Yeah, like you said, a lot of this has been discussed in Slack already, but if folks from the other implementations have feedback or concerns with the proposal?
No, pretty straightforward, and yeah, it should be a pretty easy fix. like everything should be very quick.
Sounds good. Like to hear that.
From a FIP process perspective, I think maybe if ZX, Nicola, and any others can review the FIP itself, Wyatt, is this ready for like moving through the approval process now?
Yeah, this is my first FIP, so I might not have set things up properly. It's in draft right now. Is there something I should do to move it past that? I thought I was blocked on review, but I also haven't reached out to people, so maybe I should be doing something.
I think draft state is correct. It probably needs to be merged and then marked as accepted if everyone here agrees.
Got it.
So to clarify, draft means that a FIP is draft and there's another review to make it into approved. Just understand the process.
All FIPs start out in draft. It gets merged as is, and then if it gets brought to this forum, and if folks in this forum, we have a conversation about it, and we agree on it. So this can be relatively fast to merge it and be like, okay, cool, we already discussed it in this forum and everyone agrees on it. There were no meaty changes between now and when it's merged, then we would make the PR that changes it from draft status to accepted status. Does that clarify?
So to clarify, Molly, I should merge this now optimistically, and then it will be under like more review.
One of the FIP editors will merge it for you and assign it a number.
Great. Thank you.
And the next step will be actually a second merge almost that takes off the draft status once the was formalized. That's good. Cool. That makes sense.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, that's exciting. I think there's lots of folks in the community who are excited for the changes coming in Actors v3. So that'll be good. Cool. That's all that we have on the agenda. But we have lots of time. I was wondering if folks have other questions or concerns they'd like to raise or are blocked on anything.
I just have a quick question. There's been, quite a bit of activity in the Slack channels with respect to, the challenging mechanism for window posts. I was just wondering, what the status of that is. When can we expect a FIP or something like that for that?
A FIP for what about window posts? Sorry.
Like submitting window posts and then getting challenged later without verifying it upon, submission.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so that's an idea that I think there's a good bit of excitement around. Right now, the original proposer, Alex North from the Actors team, is working on kind of making the proposal a little more concrete because there are some details that he needs to flesh out. So I think that's the status of where it's at currently. I'm not sure what his timeline is, but I think it's pretty close to being laid out as an actual proposal. It's kind of just being written out and some smaller details being thought about right now.
Cool, thanks.
Anyone is welcome to file a FIP with the proposal. My question was about FIP 6, which was the not repaying debt in order to declare faults recovered. This wasn't in the last state upgrade, but was previously in last call and had made it through last call. Is there an update, maybe Nicola or anyone on the research side about that?
So there is a new FIP coming up, which is what is, so in that comment, we left a comment in there saying that there are better ways to do this. And we are writing up an FIP, but it is low priority in our list. And so, to give you background, this FIP is okay to merge if there are a lot of miners running into a lot of issues. Otherwise, if we can hold it and have a much better proposal, then we should probably postpone it. And this has been our plan. I don't know how many miners are in trouble, but if this would be like a substantial amount of miners then are already in that situation, then we should merge it. I didn't have time to look into how many miners are in that situation. But otherwise, we should, instead of doing a patch, we should do a proper fix, because the patch could lead to other patches, and it would be much better to have a first principle fix.
Yeah, at least to my visibility, no one is like actively burning from this issue, which is, for example, you miss window post and then you are out of funds and stuck and unable to recover and spiral downward. Button onto this issue proactively and avoid these, but I think it's still it's a scary part of the design space for miners, and so we should work to fix it as soon as we can.
Yeah, the question is if this is a high priority, then we could get this fix in, and then the next fix will like revert to this change. But I can spend more time to analyze how critical this is. And my expectation is that large miner missing one single window post, because this is how this starts, is not going to be affected. They will have to miss another window post. And will they have enough money to go and repay their fault before they get faulted one more time and on the same item? And so I think we can go down to numbers, but I don't think whoever is a large miner has likely the money to repay a failed window post in less than a day.
Yeah, and I think they're out of protocol fix. If in the event that this happened, I think they're out of protocol fix that we can consider pulling. But I agree with Nicola on the front that I think it seems that most miners are doing okay.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so logistics-wise, we should pause this FIP, move it back to draft, wait for a new FIP. We'll hopefully replace this and allow us to not have multiple FIPs patching the same thing and reverting previous FIPs this early in our life cycle, since, I'm sure we will have that, and that's going to happen, but would like to defer it as much as possible.
Yep, that sounds good. Cool. Any other points of discussion?
Yeah, I actually just have one quick question that came to mind. So this FIP for the HAMP changes are included that we talked about, but the improvements to the caching of the AMPed has already been made to the Go implementation, but I don't know if there's a FIP coming with it, or are we just kind of assuming that's along the same stream? Because I know it's been merged into the Go AMPed implementation, but I don't think it's in Actors V1 or V2. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's a really good question. I think that, yeah, so it's something that I just overlooked when filing the HAMP FIP. It might make sense to, I guess there's two approaches. So we probably, since we're FIPing the HAMP one, it would make sense to FIP the AMP one. I'm thinking that just bundling it up with the current HAMP FIP would make sense. Yeah, any objections to that?
No, I think that makes sense. In general, I think a FIP is an idea and not like, a set of code changes. And so I think they're the same idea or the same line of thinking. So I think it makes sense to bundle them.
Yeah, it's like the exact same point as the first point of the HAMP FIP. So I can't imagine that someone would approve one and not the other.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cool. I will make sure to do that before it gets looked at for final review or for first review. Thanks, Austin.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for flagging that, Austin.
Hi, I have one question about actually it's about the gas fee. As you can see that we have a very high base fee in the current network, and we have some FIPs to improve this perhaps. I want to know if we have any plan in our next release to mitigate this kind of situation. Yeah, maybe.
Right. I'm gonna touch on this one because this is a complicated problem, and I cannot guarantee that any solution that we're trying to do will lower base fee. But what I can guarantee is that we reduce the gas cost for operations which are essential in the network. For example, window post is essential that it's very cheap. Proof commit and pre-commit, it's okay if sometimes they are expensive, but the idea is also to reduce those numbers. So in terms of scale, I want window post and publish deals to be as low as possible, and then the goal is to lower proof commit and pre-commit and so on. And we do have multiple approaches. Right now, my personal focus is not on published storage deals, but it's mostly on window post. And there is this optimistic window post, which is the proposal that Eric mentioned before, that Alex is writing down. I think that will be a major saving. We do have other ideas for reducing window post, but I think that they have a different scale in comparison to this idea that Alex is writing down. So we're like betting a lot on this one. And then for proof commit and pre-commit, we're doing some experiments. It's not going to happen this year, but we have multiple lines of work to improve the reducing the cost of pre-commit and proof commit. And like we discussed last time, there was a FIP from Alex that was on reducing the pre-commit cost. And we all agreed that we would postpone that until we can also reduce proof commit cost, because otherwise miners could run in a situation where they think pre-commit is cheap, they do a lot of pre-commit, then they do proof commit, and then base fee goes 2x what it is today. And so these changes for pre-commit and proof commit, there are many ways from which we can do it. And one approach is these batching techniques, which we already use. But we have another approach, which is giving the ability to generate a single proof instead of multiple proof for pre-commit. This is a bit of a larger change, but we believe that this change will massively reduce the on-chain presence of pre-commit messages, which is what is making base fee going up. So what I'm trying to say, without giving any hope, is that window post is essential to lower down, and that may happen as soon as possible. It may be early January. I don't think, like Molly said, anything will happen this year. So by early January, I have the confidence that we will get window post very, very low in a way or another way. For base fee being high, the only way forward that I see for base fee is to reduce the cost, is to change strategy on proof commit. Instead of having one proof commit per sector, having one proof commit for multiple sectors. That's the strategy. But too early for FIP. Unless people want to like take over some of this work, that would be really, really good. But realistically, commit is going to happen, window post is going to happen early January. I don't want to do any promise, but maybe February could be a good time for lowering down proof commits. And a lot of these things will depend based on how much storage is being onboarded. If in January miners decide to onboard much more storage than they are onboarding today, for example, today we onboard 15 to 20 petabytes. If at any point the storage onboarded is 100 petabytes per day, then we may have to reassess priorities. But in my expectation is that base fee will go up and down until January. Maybe it's gonna lower. I don't know. I think realistically this is the best path forward. I don't know if this answers your question.
Okay. Yeah, that is very good. Yeah, we said okay. Yeah, based on my calculation, I would think that okay, the window post is a very important part for the base fee going up. But okay, I would think that okay, the major part will be the proving proof sector and also the pre-commit sector. The two parts are also very, very important. Okay, yeah.
I think maybe a note, like base fee itself, I think is a thing that we looked at and then has implications for miners and what it then costs them for different parts of the network. And so just reducing base fee itself can have some good effects, but it can also run you into issues if you do it, not in a sustainable way, or not in a way that doesn't relatively improve some parts of the network. So like, for example, this relatively improving window posts, storage deals, other actions that we need it to be cheap for the network to do relative to other actions in the network, like onboarding new storage. And so we need to both look at the relative cost of these things as well as the overall total cost, because it's optional whether or not you spend time adding new storage to the network. It's not optional whether or not you continue proving it to the network. And we need to make sure that the balance there is effective. And so that's why we're spending our energy on kind of one versus the other first.
And
Yeah,
I
great. Yeah.
I want to add, I think we should be very clear, we are not reducing base fee, not because we don't want to, it's because we can't. Like, all we're reducing is the resources that each message will consume, and that would impact how much gas each message would use. But it could still be a case that the demand for using a network is still very strong. The base fee continues to be very high, even though we optimize for the different methods. And I think the biggest pain, it's not really base fee is high. Base fee is high because, miners as a population controls the base fee. Miners push it to be very high because people want to use a network, which is very good. But the problem there is it will affect smaller miner in a disproportionate way. And we want to fix that. I think that should be fixed as soon as we can.
Okay.
And and the biggest impact is window post. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you totally agree about that. Okay. Yeah, I would think that it would be good to try the best to optimize the resource usage and to reduce this base fee. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I think the PR, the hand PR will likely also help. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I have another another proposal about the FIP naming. I put the link here. Every time I go to the FIP list, I don't know which one is for what. So I would suggest that the name of the FIP to have the title of the FIP into the file name, which will be better for us to know which is for what while we are searching something in the list.
I don't think there's anything wrong with like the naming on GitHub, but for the Ethereum EIPs, they have a website for it. I'm not sure if we have that set up for the FIPS process, but having something that's pretty much exactly the same as that would be very useful for people who just want to view FIPS.
Yeah, that is also good. Yeah.
I'll link that here. Yeah.
Or maybe we can also keep a table in the master README page on the FIP and the topics. So like while we are working on the website, we can go through that table first.
That's a great idea, Jennifer. That's a very easy thing for us to do. It'll make it really easy to link between things and doesn't require clicking into a folder, which would be really nice. All right, let's create an issue for that. And if you could jump in and help with that, that'd be awesome.
Will do.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for that suggestion, Stephen. And I do agree. Just like opening that link that you sent and looking at FIP followed by a bunch of numbers is not the most useful information. So some improvement there is probably a good idea. Cool. This has been really good. More. Do people have more thoughts, suggestions?
I just have one small thought. I just out of curiosity, is there any plans to get community input on the FIP, process? It would just be, I don't know, it seems like it would be maybe a nice thing to get a better idea of the stakeholders of the network for the approval process, even if it doesn't block or whatever, at least to take it into consideration. So it's not just approval based on I guess the people here making the decision. I'm not exactly sure how everything gets exactly approved, but just is there any plans to get like community input on this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think so. I think we're definitely getting. So all of this is obviously happening publicly in the PhilPhips channel and on the FIPS GitHub repo as well. And we're definitely getting a lot of community feedback that's driving the process kind of before we're getting to the approval stage. I think where miners in particular are definitely letting us know what FIPS they want and massaging some of the conversation and like providing their feedback there. So I think that's the stage at which we're getting it right now. Molly, I don't know if you have more thoughts.
Yeah, I think one, the discuss issues associated with a particular FIP, like do get comments from the community. Some get more than others. It'd be awesome to have more discussion there on places where things are controversial. That being said, kind of understandable. It's like, yeah, please give us, performance improvements. So controversial FIPs will create more discussion. That being said, we're also working on kind of a polling tool that we can use to more accurately visualize especially for projecting into the future, controversial FIPs that we might be controversial to different parts of the Filecoin community, where you don't just want to have here's a long stream of discussions with no ability to visualize like. Miners think this is a good change, but this is really bad for clients, and clients need an important change or alteration to this because it's going to decrease the value of the network for storing data and being accessible to them. That's a really important thing to visualize, and so we're working on a kind of polling tool that will be usable in that way, and we'll be able to kind of weight different opinions in a graphical view by the type of group they are. So you can be like, great, 50% of clients are in favor of this, weighted by number of deals that you've made, and 30% of, I don't know, ecosystem partners are doing this other thing, or ecosystem developers. And so that'll allow us to visualize it. I don't think, similarly to many other groups, a lot of this is kind of organic, and depending on the FIP, there'll be different feedback loops that happen there. And it is really the responsibility of the FIP holder and the FIP creator to build support and adoption for a FIP as it's going through the approval process. And then as it lands here and gets kind of approval from this group, we should review any controversy with the community, if there is any, before making some of those decisions on whether or not we're going to spend our time implementing it into 4 different implementations or not. So that's kind of how we expect that to fit into the process, but we're still kind of working on that, iterating on it. I think it'll probably we'll probably be ready to beta test it sometime in like the beginning of Q1 timeframe.
Awesome, sounds good.
That's good. Yeah, I really like the idea of that polling feature to see what folks are saying. Any more questions or suggestions? All right. Well, I think this has been really good. I think yeah, some of the questions and suggestions raised have been really useful. Thank you, everyone. Also, fantastic progress, Scott. I love hearing everyone get so much closer to the ultimate goal. Every 2 weeks we talk. Cool. I think we can wrap up for today. Molly, sure. Are we having another one of these in 2 weeks, right before kind of the Christmas break?
That's a good question. That would be the 17th of December, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Are people, thumbs up if you're going to be present and would like to have this meeting, thumbs down if you are not going to be present and would prefer to defer this meeting until January, with an understanding that there'd be, progress on a FIP.
Can do thumb down without camera.
So we're bullying everyone else into saying yes.
Okay. I think if you can't attend, or if the timing isn't great, feel free to send an async update in the FIP issue itself. And happy holidays if we miss you.
Yeah, we'll say that we will have another one of these on the 17th, but maybe I'll send out a feeler sometime next week just to see how much attendance we get and make a decision accordingly. Cool. Well, thanks everyone. See you around. Good luck, good work. Bye.
Thanks. See ya.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Adios.
See ya.
Thanks to you.